Hello viewers, welcome to APGNation.com and to my review of Victor Vran. A copy of this game was provided to us for the purpose of this review, so thank you very much to the devs and publishers. You are Victor Vran, a demon hunter with a dark past that has been summoned to the city of Zagoravia, a city overthrown by darkness and unspeakable evils. Remaining inhabitants of the city have called upon demon hunters to help overthrow the evil that lays waste to the city, including Victor's friend Adrian, which is one of the many motivations that bring Victor to this city. So at heart, Victor Vran is a supernatural action RPG, played from an isometric point of view with either a keyboard or gamepad. The visuals are similar to other known games of the genre, sitting nicely somewhere between Torchlight 2 and Diablo 3, and features locations such as degraded streets, creepy graveyards, cold caves, and freezing ice locales, all revolving around that classic gothic theme that you would come to expect. The game looks and runs great for the most part, being able to run well with huge number of enemies on screen at once. Combat is fast, furious, and ultimately very satisfying thanks to the dive roll that constantly keeps you moving, which you will be using a lot, and the many weapons and powers in the palm of your hands to vanquish usually dozens of enemies at any one time. At your disposal is any equipable selection of 2 weapons with 2 skills each, as well as a basic attack, 2 demon powers which are more powerful attacks or defense powers, and 2 potions. On top of this, each weapon has its own unique attributes attached to it, and Victor himself can also be decked out with a new set of threads with different attributes, and you can also equip them with destiny cards which add even more attributes and special traits. Of course, not every slot is available to you once you first start the game, but as you start gaining more and more experience and growing more levels, you will unlock additional slots, traits, and also be granted a random reward of your choosing after every level up. Customization is a big feature in Victor Vran, but rather than customizing Victor's physical appearance, you instead customize him to fit your personal playstyle. The game features a large map with dozens of locations that are filled to the brink with evil creatures for you to take on. Each location also contains 5 unique challenges in which you can freely complete whenever you want, in which you will be rewarded from anything to gold and loot to experience points and gear. Environments are also full of secret chests filled with loot for you to find, so the game rewards you for taking the time to explore, and it's fun figuring out how to get to these hard to reach secret locations. There is also a hub safe area in which you can interact with a number of NPCs to store, trade, sell, and buy potions, weapons, demon powers, and destiny cards. You will also meet additional story characters here that continue the main story along, but unfortunately most of these characters are ultimately unmemorable. Sure, some of them have an interesting story to tell or two, but nothing that will hold your attention for long. However, I was quite interested in Victor's story and the things that you uncover about his past as you play through the game, but I just wish that there was more to him. There isn't a lot of character development or personality to really sell him as a likable or memorable character. The game also features online co-op and PvP modes, but unfortunately I was unable to test it out because I has no friends. But at least local split screen co-op is coming soon, which is fantastic. So the game looks good and plays even better, with great customization options and plenty of challenges to keep you busy for hours on end. So what are the downsides to Victor Vran? Well, even though the game handles loads of enemies on screen at once, the game still suffers from minor hiccups such as sudden frame rate drops and audio cutouts. It's not enough to ruin the experience, but it would be good if the game just got that extra touch of polish that it needs. Also, there is little in terms of enemy variety, usually copy and pasting the same creature over and over again, but maybe making it bigger or smaller, a different color, and they're even used for the majority of the boss fights throughout the game. They obviously tried to combat this by pitting you against different waves of creatures over the course of the game, but just be warned, you will be killing spiders at the start of the game, and you will still be killing them at the end of the game. Weapon variety also grows stale very quickly. Even though every weapon features random unique attributes, there are only around 7 to 8 base weapons in the game, and every weapon of the same base contains the same skill abilities. Once I found my first shotgun, I kept using a shotgun through the entire game, therefore I had the same skills throughout my entire experience. The game features a large map with lots of different locations to visit, but unless you're a game perfectionist, you probably won't even bother visiting around a quarter or even half of the locations because your objective never makes you go there. There is only the main storyline in the entire game that you'll be following, and no side quests to make you detour to the neighbouring areas. Sure, they still all feature challenges for you to complete, but like I said, it's only really for the perfectionists. But even if you don't go to these additional locations, it will still take you around 8 to 10 hours plus to complete the overall story. But the one major problem I found is that since the game has little variety in terms of enemies, all of the battles just end up feeling the same, and honestly, at times I got a bit bored. Also, there is never a time where you run into magical barriers that halt your progress until you vanquish all enemies in the area, so towards the end of the game I just found myself diving past dozens and dozens of enemies to very easily reach the next area. So overall, Victor Vran is a solid game with swift and satisfying combat that will test your reflexes and skill, with lots of random loot and attribute customization, and a large number of locations with an even larger number of challenges, which will keep you busy for hours and hours. But since the game lacks variety, which ultimately is the spice of life, it results in the game gradually becoming repetitive and honestly boring over the course of the game, because you are fighting the same monsters over and over and over with the same weapons over and over and over for 10 plus hours. I just need some variety to keep things interesting. And of course, the story is generic and unexciting, featuring characters that aren't memorable or that likable, which leaves little for most players to enjoy, resulting in a game that will most likely only appeal to hardcore fans of the genre, perfectionists, or players that have a friend to play online with. So in the end, I recommend that you pick up Victor Vran when it's on sale. Now don't get me wrong, Victor Vran is an enjoyable game at times and plays very, very well, and is a great challenge. I just needed a more polished and interesting story, greater weapon and enemy variety to keep things feeling fresh and exciting. In saying this, at least the developers are working on new and free DLC as well as split screen co-op, so it's great to see the devs are passionate and vocal with Victor Vran, and I wish them well with their continued support for this game. Thank you very much for watching this review of Victor Vran, and for the latest in video game news, reviews and impressions, subscribe and stay tuned to apgnation.com.